Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E's to Enter Evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have SCP-701, the Hanged Man. No, the Hanged Kings. The Hanged King's Tragedy. There we go. Just clean that up, future me.
You mean there you go? You did that one shot because I was edited out.
Yeah, as is this. Yeah, we're going to cover SCP-701, mainly because of a trailer for a game that came out recently. That gamer turned me on to.
Don't say it like that. It sounds sexual.
Wow, you're the one that went there, gamer. I was not going to even associate that term
this time.
Yeah, apparently. SCP Secrets.
Secret Files.
Oh my god, I already got it wrong.
So I don't know
SCP Secret Files. SCP Secret Files is an episodic computer game that's going to be coming out on Steam at some point. And it seems like the first episode, or the first chapter of the game, is going to involve SCP-701 based on the trailer.
I didn't even know it was going to be episodic, honestly.
I had to do a little bit deeper digging into that. But I'll dive into that more in our talk and such. That's why we're doing SCP-701, because I hadn't really heard about it, but then when I looked at 701, I recognized the image, but didn't know the SCP exactly behind it.
I hate to say it, on the Steam page, there is a different trailer. If you want to see it.
Oh, is it like a more of a playthrough of it?
No, it's a 1 minute long trailer showing other stuff.
Okay, hang on a second. We're back. An Al Dente Rigor Mortis story.
Nice.
We just watched that other trailer, and it kind of gives a little bit more context that it is more episodic, because there are more SCPs in that than the one that we first saw that brings up more the Hanged King's Tragedy, SCP-701.
Yeah, from the looks of it, I think that's like an early prototype of the game, because the one part where she's walking around holding some white device thing, it's all cell shaded, so it's a different art style.
Yeah. Also, from the looks of it, it almost sounds like it's an introductory character going into like a new person going into the SCP Foundation and stuff, and learning the ropes.
Yeah.
So it almost has Control vibes, which I guess at this point is an Ouroboros, where it's just the snake eating its own tail, because Control was clearly inspired by the SCP Foundation, and now there's an SCP Foundation video game coming out that is that seems inspired, or at least seems in line with the game Control.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of just eating itself in a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and also there's a bunch of SCPs I recognized in that new trailer that seemed, or that maybe not new trailer, but that specific trailer we just watched. That were okay, yeah, this is definitely different, SCPs, not just 701. So I'm pretty sure I saw the dragon the dragon painting from one of our favorite ones. The rad painting.
Oh yeah,
with the dragon wizard and the cyborg dinosaur.
I feel like I would have noticed that though if I saw that.
It was a painting of a dragon just taking flight and stuff. So I'm not sure if it was the same. If it was supposed to be that one, but
I don't know if he was rad enough.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Also, yeah. Regardless. This is all kind of boiling down to this trailer. This game has inspired us to check out SCP-701, the Hanged King's Tragedy. So you can check it out at SCP.wiki,
My favorite website.
scp-wiki.wiki.com, or if you Google it, it's SCP Foundation.
Way more fun to type in the very complicated URL, though.
Yeah, clearly. It's by Tinwatchman, so you can check it out there first if you'd like, and we will kind of go into our initial recommendations and such. I'd recommend it. Mikey, what do you think?
Personal recommendation.
Okay.
I'll recommend it.
All right. Let's dive into... Sorry, what?
So we're all relatively positive so far.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive into spoilerific rundown and our actual thoughts and such. So, going to the rundown here, SCP-701, as I've said a couple times, is a play called The Hanged King's Tragedy, which, when performed and observed by the fifth and final act of the play, incites violence and death among both the actors on stage and the audience. It is due to a mysterious figure recognized in the play as the ambassador of Alagata that appears during the play mysteriously throughout the acts. And there are mimetic properties involved when the play is being performed that also cause these supernatural and these supernatural acts of violence and death. The play starts off rather normal. However, as it is run through by the actors, they begin changing the lines and scenes to be a bit more macabre, weird, and even gruesome. And nobody seems to bat an eye, because those present during the performances and like even the trial performances and stuff don't see anything wrong with the changes. They just see them as like, oh, like maybe they've been improv, or like they were changed ahead of time or something like that. The SCP Foundation has collected as many copies as possible, though there are some digital copies online that are more difficult to conceal. And the physical copies have all been archived in their various dated publications and recordings. They are all being stored and archived with limited access, as it is sort of a mimetic threat.
Say that's all of them?
It's like that's what kind of it got, is like basically they've collected they've collected as many as they've been able to find. Like basically whenever a copy comes out, or whenever they get wind of a copy in one of the various forms, they go out and collect it and conceal the mimetic threat it poses. So
they were destroying most of them, regardless.
Actually, that's the thing. That's a point of conjecture in my notes, actually.
Okay.
Because they archive everything. They don't destroy any of them. They just have this huge archive of that are cataloged of each copy that they've been able to obtain and conceal. So, given the potential mimetic threat and spread of chaos and violence that could occur as a result of this play getting out, one of the researchers, who is also noted to be infected by the mimetic virus, as they are studying the play for reasons, has voiced that the SCP be switched from a Euclid class to a Keter class, which is more of like a world-ending threat sort of class. However, that has been denied by O5, or by the O5 in charge, for reasons. And that's basically the bare bones of the SCP. There is a document and an instance case report. The instance case report basically just kind of gives you a rundown from a video that they acquired of the play to kind of give it's how they know what happens when the play is being used. And the document itself is an actual kind of documented transcript of what the play entails, like including who the characters are, what each act basically goes through, or what it's supposed to be before it gets changed by the strange entity and the mimetic virus within the play. But otherwise, that's basically the SCP-701 in a nutshell. So, I suppose we'll move on to Everyone tolerates the grammar. Do we have any grammar inquisition?
Yes.
Do you guys got a grammar inquisition?
Well, I have a conjunction junction which spans all three lengths.
My
'Cause,
God,
I mean-
I thought we do that for SCPs. Okay, okay, fair enough. You know what? Then all right. From the top, everyone tolerates the grammar inquisitions except for cultists, apparently. So, yeah, Mikey, you have the floor. You have the stage.
Alright, so I have a conjunction junction.
Okay. And next stop, conjunction junction. Doot, doot.
It may seem to enter or exit the stage area, but does not appear to ever enter the backstage or offstage area. It simply disappears when not on stage. And in this line of business, we consider ourselves lucky if we only lose 100 or so people every 10 years. It is the only surviving record of the event. It enters and stands at the edge of the stage left, towards the end of Act 2, Scene 1. It appears on the edge of the stage right as Gonzalo and Petruccio murder Sortino. It may be intended as a reference to one of the Muslim states or cities on the Mediterranean coast, such as Tunis or Algiers. Finn.
I don't know, like like based on that on the out of context, like it and then but story here. It's like, what is it? What keeps? What is the last remaining event, like event of the event, and why does it keep like disappearing when it leaves the stage?
Yeah, there's no context to what it was, just that it is the surviving record and it is showing up in the recording.
In the recording itself, and it might be a reference to Muslim city states.
Yes, that's all we know.
Yeah, like wow,
So mysterious.
Mm-hmm. That actually is very adequate for an SCP.
Mm-hmm. There's so much redacted, you don't even know what it looks like.
Yep.
And for those unaware, Mikey does these strings of sentences to highlight all the sentences in a story that start with its, ends, or buts, because there's usually better words to use.
Usually.
I don't know if I'm down with it for this format though, because it's not
very formal.
Yeah. You know?
I mean, I think what Mikey did for this one was like being critically silly.
Yes.
Which, I mean, that is kind of our quota.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, then I guess it's up to Gamer now. You now have the stage. As we just let's just grab that long cane and just yank Mikey off the stage.
Yep.
Just disappear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I got a couple, and you may or may not agree with them, but we'll see.
Okay.
First one, descriptions. SCP-701, The Hanging King's Tragedy, is a Caroline-era revenge tragedy in 5 acts. And then it goes on after that saying... didn't put this down, hang on.
Oh dear.
Performances of the play are associated with sudden psychotic and suicidal behavior, blah, 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 blah. So I kind of feel like it should say right from the get-go that it's a play. Because you get through the entire first sentence, and unless you like catch that it's a play... Like,
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, the second sentence says what it is, but the first one doesn't.
Yeah, it does. A Caroline-era revenge tragedy in 5 acts, that's a play.
But wouldn't it be like a Caroline-era revenge tragedy 5-act play?
You could say it like that, but I think, like that's going into like more of like pedantic and semantics on that point. But again, like agree to disagree, I suppose. Or like both of them are true.
Yeah. Just personally, I'd prefer it that way. It's not like
Okay.
I was reading this and then I missed the second mention of it that it was a play, and I didn't realize it was a play until 3/4 of the way through it. That didn't happen. But
I thought it was a video game the whole time.
yeah, what the hell? But I don't know. Just from the first sentence alone, what it was setting up, I didn't fully understand it until the second sentence. Regardless, I already said that. I don't need to be pedantic myself. Moving on. And in the document, it's the document being the actual script.
Yeah.
Although it probably says it in the other one. Regardless, it says Petruchio and Gonzalo invite Sortino to dinner. Should it be the Duke of Sortino? Because he's referred to as the Duke of Sortino at the very top of the list.
Yeah, that's true.
And
yeah,
every
Sortino
time
is
mentioned. It's just mentioned as Sortino.
You know what? I'll give this to you because Sortino is not his actual name. He's the Duke of Sortino. So, if anything, it would be invites the Duke.
Unless they're inviting the entire country
of Sortino.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Also, yeah.
Or just the Duke, because I believe he's the only Duke in the story. It's odd that they chose Sortino
also,
to reference him.
Interesting fact. I just wanted to pull it up because, like you said, like it was like the whole country of Sortino. So Sortino is actually a town and commune in the province of Syracuse, Sicily, in Italy.
Yeah.
But I mean, back in those days, like back in the era that the play is basically taking place, a lot of these places like Milan and what have you, like Florence and whatnot, like those were towns, but they were basically like kingdoms or like city states. So like that's basically like they were kingdoms or countries in their own like within the country of Italy.
Yeah. If you think of this Sortino being referenced as the entire city state, it really puts a different light on things. Like with this sentence, it appears on the edge of the stage right as Gonzalo and Petruchio murder Sortino.
Just massacre an entire town's population.
Yeah.
Man.
Is he the one that they make into stew or no?
Yep. Yeah, I think Sortino's the one that they cook into stew.
That's a lot of stew.
In Act 3, I believe, or it might be Act. I think it's. I thought it was Act 3, but maybe it's Act 4. Hang on. Yeah, it's Act 4. In the place, Gonzalo reports to Lodovico that he has, in exchange for an unstated tribute, obtained a powerful and tasteless poison for the ambassador of Alagata, or from the ambassador of Alagata. Gonzalo plans to poison the stew made from the Duke of Sortino's corpse.
Yes, but that is mentioned in Act
3.
Act 3, 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jesus.
A really big bowl for that stew.
Yeah. It's actually just a big old chili. It's just a big old just a stew off.
Yeah, that's all I got for grammar related discrepancies.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, I can agree more with the last one that you just did, where it's like, yeah, it should be the Duke of Sortino, not Sortino itself.
Yeah, I knew the first one was kind of stretching it a bit.
Yeah,
a little bit of a nitpick.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so I suppose we'll move to the actual thoughts then. So I'm going to start with this quote here. As I started the story, again, I knew about the image, and we'll get to the image in a bit, but I had no other real inklings as to what the story was, what this SCP was about, going into this episode. And so I read this part. SCP-701, The Hanged King's Tragedy, is a Caroline-era revenge tragedy in 5 acts. Performances of the play are associated with sudden psychotic and suicidal behavior among both observers and participants, as well as the manifestation of a mysterious figure classified as SCP-701-1. Wow. So, the King in Yellow as an SCP entry.
I'm fine with that.
Honestly, I was too, because this could easily just be an alternative title or a variant of the play Le Roi en Jaune, or the French version of The King in Yellow, which is actually, I think, what the how the play is done in the book by Robert E. Chambers, The King in Yellow.
Sure, King in Yellow has multiple names too, so...
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like, this could easily be just another avatar of The King in Yellow and Carcosa. From, like, and I'll get into my game fodder in a minute, in a second here. But yeah, like, for anybody who's not really in the know of it, the Gamer in Yellow. The King in Yellow is a play that has some kind of dastardly entity or some kind of cosmic entity behind it that drives the participants of the play and the audience mad and throws them into a psychotic and suicidal behavior as watching it. And by the end of the act, like, there's a famous line in the stage act where it's like where everybody in the ballroom has masks on in the play, and it's like, except for and there's one person, like a king, like a tattered king sort of figure, and one of the characters will like start removing everybody's masks or telling them everybody to remove the mask, and the only person that doesn't remove a mask is the tattered king, and then the character will be like, your masks, remove your masks, and then the tattered king will just simply say, I wear no mask, and remove his mask to reveal a horrible visage of like cosmic terror.
So wait,
and drive her
removes
insane.
His mask, even though he says he doesn't have a mask?
I may have it slightly construed.
I thought the whole thing was the fact that that's his face, and that's why it's fucked up.
Hang on, let me.
Does that kind of defeat
it's been a while since I've actually like read. I'm paraphrasing, so I might have gotten that mixed up. Hang on, quickly double checking.
I wear no mask. Here, I will take off my mask to prove that I wear no mask. That's how it is. Fine, but it sounds silly now.
Maybe he just removed his face.
Yeah, that's true. He could just do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what it's supposed to be. Is like it's a face or something like that, and then like I wear no mask.
Because he doesn't have a face behind the mask. It's just like nothingness.
Yeah.
So the mask is the face.
Yeah. Like here, this is like a short bit from the book. Camilla, you, sir, should unmask. Stranger, indeed? Casilda, indeed, it's time. We have all laid aside disguise, but you, stranger, I wear no mask. Casilda, terrified, Camilla, terrified, aside to Casilda. No mask? No mask! So yeah, it's very much like, and at that point, or like at a certain point around that in the play, that's when people just start losing their shit. And yeah, like it's basically in a lot of the mythos around the King in Yellow and Carcosa. There's always like reports or instances of like this play popping up at a small theater or at some kind of a stage theater, and then like on the night of its opening, the theater ends up like having riots, and like the theater and even possibly the block around it burns to the ground as somebody starts fires.
Nice.
So yeah, basically, very much like this story. Like as soon as I got to the description of what SCP-701 actually was, I was like, this is just another mask, but of the King in Yellow.
Nice.
So game fodder wise, because this was going to happen, it's an SCP entry. Yeah, Delta Green, or the SO Terrorist. Are the systems I'd use for a game where you're a team like the Foundation or even the Foundation itself, because you could easily just swap out Delta Green or the SO Terrorists agency to just be the Foundation itself, devoted to suppressing the outcome of this artifact, this play. Given the similarities between this play and the King in Yellow, you could easily just push this in that direction for a scenario. You could also just use this material here, like SCP, the article for SCP-701, the document and the instances, like as your notes to run a game of in a Delta Green or Esoterrorist style horror game. Alternatively, you could also use the same material, like I just said, but swap it around and use a system like Fear itself or even the Plays the Thing to run this through the acts and the cast of characters as the actors and the stage crew that have found this new play that they want to perform.
Oh god.
So like the Fear itself would obviously be the one where you like your characters would be like actors and like producers and like crew hands and stuff like that on the stage, like for this performance that your producers found. And then that's when, like, as you're like performing, doing this stuff, you're starting to notice some weird stuff is going on and stuff like that, and maybe even investigating it, but not as a team that is devoted to suppressing this stuff, but just like, what the fuck's going on with this cursed fucking stage play that we've fumbled into.
But that's the thing. The whole point of this is all the people that are part of the play. Yeah, revisions are being made, but they don't notice.
They don't realize it. Yeah. Well, I mean, you could have in that case, like again, like as player characters, you're the ones that are noticing that there is something off, but everyone else is not noticing it. Like there's something special about you.
The best bet to do it is instead of making someone a special snowflake, the best bet would be to play a friend or a significant other of someone who is practicing the play, and when they come home. And you ask them how the play went, and they keep telling you different stories and all this weird stuff that's happening, and then you investigate.
Or like, hey, where's I haven't seen Vince in a while. It's like, oh yeah, Vince, we gutted him in the final act for the in the prep thing. We're going to have to get a new person. It's like, wait, what? Oh no, he went missing. Don't worry about it. And like they just like there's like an indiscrepancy like that, or like they just treat it like they murdered somebody like on stage, like it's fine.
Yeah.
And so or also like. The Plays the Thing is more storytelling based game where it's like more of like it's basically set the idea for the Plays the Thing as an RPG is
what is it?
You
called?
I can't
wrap my brain around what you're saying as the name of this system. What's it called?
The Plays the Thing.
Okay.
It's actually I think a phrase when it comes to like stage plays and stuff.
Okay.
Hang on. I think it's Shakespearean. Yeah, it's Shakespearean, like that term. So the Plays the Thing appears in Shakespeare's Hamlet. It means that Hamlet is using the play as an instrument to touch the conscience of Claudius. He wants to make him aware of the fact that he knows who actually killed his father. So that's where the term "the Plays the Thing" comes from, and this storytelling RPG, like I know that basically sounds like it's the same thing, but storytelling RPGs are more like they're not mechanics heavy; they're more about improv, and like playing a role and then not rolling dice so much. Like the dice rolling, like if there's any dice rolling involved in those kind of games, it's more like just for prompts as to what you're about to like improv. And so in the Plays the Thing, you play as basically a stage crew and a stage like stage performers and stuff, and usually like they it's kind of made for like you can take like Shakespearean plays, like the actual transcripts or like the actual layouts of an actual play, and basically just improv a silly version of it, or like have things change in it as you like the mechanics kind of prompt. So it's made to kind of be, I've the games I've listened to by like RPPR, Roleplay Public Radio, they've done a couple of them, and it usually ends up being really silly. Like they're doing Hamlet and then or Macbeth, and suddenly like there's ninjas in Macbeth.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's there with a ninja.
or like a cyborg ninja. At the end, by the end of the episode, like by the end of the session of the gameplay, the play as was intended has like kind of devolved into a very silly thing. And given the fact that we kind of get through the document of SCP-701, we get like an outline of all the acts and all the characters. You could easily use the Plays the Thing to start off as your crew is running the Hanged King's Tragedy, and then instead of going silly though, you just go dark.
Yeah.
You just get really spoopy with it. So yeah, that's my kind of.
You could run the same thing with multiple people, and the end result would be different every time, and that would all be in canon.
Yeah, because they, as far as they're concerned, it's always been like this.
Well, yeah, and
you've always been in Carcosa.
Yes, and every time that this happens in the canon of SCP, it doesn't change the same way every time for everyone. It's always a different change for every instance of the play. So every time you run this for a different group of friends, it'll be different.
Yeah.
And it all in canon, which is cool.
This actually brings up my next quote, or my next comment here. And here's the quote.
Because I've been wanting to ask something
Sorry,
a long time now.
So, I'm sorry.
I'm going back a bit. You've mentioned Esoterist a few times. I don't think I've ever asked about it. And you always connect it to Delta Green. So how are they similar and how are they different?
So Delta Green is a illegal, well, depending on the time period, like if it's in the 90s or if it's in like the 2000s, it can be either an illegal or legal government conspiracy devoted to suppressing and eliminating cosmic horror threats of the Cthulhu mythos, and like when they pop up around like North America.
Through SCP.
So basically it came actually Delta Green started off like in their history. They evolved from the group that dealt with the Shadow over Innsmouth incident. So they were the government. Their forefathers were the government agents that had to basically go into Innsmouth and round up all the fishmen and put them into camps, and basically like deal with that whole like bombing of Devil's Reef off the coast of North America because there's a colony of alien fishmen out in the ocean. They ended up becoming like that ended up becoming what we know as Delta Green nowadays. It came out from the 90s as like a modern Call of Cthulhu campaign setup.
Yeah.
And threw in a bunch of like conspiracy theories around like aliens and like basically it was like X-Files meets the Cthulhu mythos to a degree.
Then Esoterist, it honestly sounds like you're playing a bad guy. Just by the name of it.
So Esoterist, the reason why it's called Esoterist, I should have probably brought this up more. Esoterist is the name of the of the enemies that you face in Esoterist. You actually play as the Ordo. As I pull out my Esoterist book, you play as members of the Ordo Veritas, which are a group of it's an organization, not necessarily government, but they like kind of like like kind of para-government. Like they do things above the law or like above the law and stuff like that. Because there are these people, not necessarily like an actual like set organization, but there's just like kind of like a thought that people that groups of people will have to try and bring the supernatural to the mundane world, because they want magic to exist. But because by doing that, they are weakening the veil between our world and a terrible place called the Outer Dark, where
Solenum would be an Esoterist.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, his need to be a wizard would he would become the scenario.
Okay.
Because it's basically like Delta Green, but instead of the Cthulhu mythos, it's more like Clive Barker rather than Lovecraft. So like, it's usually a lot of the stuff that's covered in is like really like dark, like graphic shit, because like they are basically using like really vile blood magic to try and make the mundane world supernatural.
Okay. So more gore porn, less psychological and tentacles, yeah.
Yeah, more saw blades and needles and phallic symbols and blood, and less tentacles and star monsters.
Gotcha.
Like alien star monsters.
I understand.
Yeah, and they're like, whereas they share the Ordo Veritas shares very similar like kind of ideologies with Delta Green, except they tend to be a little bit more lenient, whereas like Delta Green is like you have the 9mm retirement plan, where like if you get contaminated, you're getting shot.
Oh, okay.
Or like they're more, Delta Green's more of burn it with fire, nuke it from orbit, the only way to be sure.
Yeah.
Ordo Veritas tries to just cover things up and tries to minimize casualties.
So it's actually more SCP like.
Yeah.
Because the SCP Foundation don't necessarily do the 9mm retirement plan unless they have to.
Yeah. And actually, again, not to keep referencing a much better podcast than us.
Any podcast and you'd be doing the same.
Yeah. But Roleplay Public Radio did actually use the Esoterrorist years ago to run an SCP Foundation session.
Nice.
Yeah. It was really cool. It's actually one of my first like introductions to the SCP Foundation.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you can cut this out if you want. I was just really curious.
Oh no, I'll keep this all, because it's something like I never do. I realize I don't ever like bring up what the actual, like when I say esoterrorist, I'm just saying like a word.
Yeah.
I'm not actually like describing it. Whereas like I'm just assuming people know what it is, or they can Google it.
Yes.
But yeah, I'll move on to like the continuing on here.
Mike,
So
you were going to say something, I think.
Yeah. Well, just bringing it back to the masks.
Yes.
It reminded me of a episode of The Adventures of Gummy Bears I watched recently.
Okay.
Okay. Gummy Bears, like that one, like the old 90s cartoon.
Yep. It's called Dress for Success, and the Gummy Bears attend a masquerade festival. And at like the end of the day, everyone unmasks, and they're like, "Well, we don't want to be here for the unmasking because they're not wearing masks."
Oh God!
Oh, okay.
But so they literally wore no masks.
Nice.
Oh my God! And now I need to find an RPG that will accommodate like Saturday morning cartoons and run Gummy Bears meets The King in Yellow. Wow.
That's wonderfully silly.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to what I was going to go to with we were talking about like how they have different versions, how you bring up Gamer when like they have different versions of the play, or like you could have different versions of the play happen. And they would play out differently, but to the people that are performing it, it would seem like nothing was wrong. But like to the outside observer, they are different play, or there's different iterations going on.
Yeah, like at some level from the actors, some level removed from the actor, there is someone who is seeing what the actor's doing, but not being affected by it. Like maybe the direct contact with them, like their significant other or brother or whatever, someone that's living with them, may also be affected by it and not notice, but somewhere down the chain someone will be able to break from that the illusion, right?
Yeah, or there'd be some kind of like a skitter box you can do to like not be affected by the mimetic virus. And a skitter box is a term used to basically, it's like like you're basically it's viewing something through proxy to not get affected by the contaminant that it's causing. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the layman's version, like the best, like simplest way of like for me to describe what a skitter box is, as it has been used in things that I've listened to. But what I was trying to get at with this is my next quote here regarding what you were talking about, Gamer, with like the different iterations. This is the quote that kind of sparked something for me here. All materials relating to SCP-701 are to be kept in a triple-locked archive at storage site redacted. These items currently consist of the two currently extant copies of the 1640 Quarto, 27 copies of the 1965 trade paperback edition, 10 copies of the 1971 hardcover printing, 21 floppy diskettes, consisting of data seized from raids on Expunged, 1 SVHS video cassette tape designated SCP-701-19 Redacted A, and 1 steel knife of unknown origin, designated SCP-701 19 redacted B. So when I read this part, I was like, I'm kind of surprised the SCP Foundation hasn't disposed of duplicate copies of each version and variant of this play. Like, I know it's secure and contain in their name, but like destroying all but like one or even a couple of copies would make containing the threat of these memetic objects and like prevent the risk of breaches a little bit easier, right?
Yeah, because if there's 50 books to hand out, that's 50 times the amount of containing they have to do.
Yeah, like, do they really need to keep all 27 copies of the same book, a trade paperback edition from 1965? Or like maybe with the floppy disks and like if they have any more VHSs or DVDs or that pop up and stuff like that, maybe keep those ones, because the floppy diskettes might be like, I don't know, the data on them might be like really like small video files or something like that, or audio files of the scene, and maybe like those are of different like you were saying earlier, like they have different iterations of the play on record. But book-wise, unless they have like some kind of like writing, like some kind of like writing in the ledgers or in like the in the space around like the actual like pages, like somebody's like put in some footnotes or whatever of their own. I just feel like they don't need to have, like, I feel like it's a security risk to have 27 or even 10 or 21 copies of a memetic artifact.
If they're not doing science on them, yeah. But here's the thing. They might be keeping them because they're like, okay, look, every time this play's being done, it's being done differently, and differently from each instance of it being done. So it's entirely possible that even though all the books are quote-unquote identical, they're not.
Oh, so you're saying like each
of the
like
27
they
copies,
physically, yeah.
The words in there are the same, but the weird supernatural aspect of each book is different. So if you use the same book twice, it may have the same changes that happen.
So physically they are the same books, but narratively and metaphysically they are different.
Yeah.
Okay. I could buy that then. Also, just to have like, did you dispose of the books? Don't worry, it's being taken care of by top men. Where are the books? You're going to destroy them, right? Top men, and then just like them being like archived at like some like underground library or archival facility. Waiting for the SCP Foundation to like run out of money or be disbanded for some reason, or like in the post-apocalyptic future where like the SCP is not around because some other SCP fucked up the world, and then some surviving like urban explorer or some survivor happens upon the bunker and gets in and reads the book, and then suddenly it just releases again. Yeah. But that's future person's problem. Another thing I wanted to bring up was the look of SCP-701-1. So the photo that accompanies the SCP here, which is basically the ambassador of Alagata, as we assume he is to be.
Talking about
what?
It's not the ambassador.
Yeah, throughout the story, like throughout the the documentation, it says that there's this mysterious figure that pops up on the screen on the stage. Like it gets more and more prevalent, and then by the final act of the play, it is revealed that the ambassador was that character.
Okay, yeah. But
so
regardless,
that's basically
he is the previous king, but he's also the ambassador of Alagata.
Well, actually, I thought the Hanged King part was honestly just like the king from Forza. Forza? Is it just Forza?
It's a video game. It's a racing video game.
I know, but I mean, is the S because Forza is like it's like a SFORZO. So it's like the S silent.
Where is it? Oh yeah, S. Yeah,
Forza.
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought he died and like basically the Hanged King is him because he was a king and he was hanged.
That could be it. Yeah. Well, the Hanged King in the Hanged King's tragedy, he wasn't hanged. He died of murder from.
Hanged.
No. He was. Oh no, you're right. He was hanged later. Like they killed him and then they hung him. However, I honestly thought the Hanged King's tragedy here was Gonzola, because at the end he gets hanged.
Yeah.
Right? Like, doesn't he get hanged and then like disemboweled as well?
This whole thing happened because of Forza Horizon Motorsport getting hung.
God damn it. Hung like a bull, that is. No.
Wow. How dare.
But no, also I think it's like the Hanged King strategy is like the King's Forza and also King Gonzalo. Because they're both kings and they both get hanged.
Yeah, but the entire play is the tragedy. The tragedy happened because of Forza getting hung. So the one that is showing up to cause all these bad things to happen is Forza. Gotta be, right?
Yep.
And if he is also the ambassador of wherever the hell, where is it?
The ambassador of Allegado.
Oh, yeah, if he is actually him as well, or he's possessed him or something, fine. But
yeah,
at least in my headcanon, Forza is the Hanged King.
Okay, fair enough. Anyways, going back to the picture, the photo, and the entity itself that like pops up on the stage and is clearly not supposed to be there, but is behind the machinations of this play and its mimeticness. I really like it.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to boil down to. Is I really like the design because it's it's fairly unique. It's like a very like the design itself is like this ropey cloth like getup that is also wrapped with chains and
sweet bling too.
Yeah,
like a big ring in the middle for some reason.
Yeah, like a ring, like that's also chained around him. And then like he's got like this beaked look to the wrappings around his face, almost like that of a it's kind of reminiscent of a plague doctor's mask.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the plague doctor mask that we always see. It's just this like other version, or so this mummy version of a character.
I'm not gonna lie,
and again,
I kind of expected a noose on him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, maybe like the ropiness of all the cloth and stuff like that is supposed to represent the noose.
Maybe, but that could be done way clearer. Like to have the noose around his neck with the noose knot.
I mean, it kind of looks like a noose.
The rest
like
of
that
it is just pure rope everywhere.
Yeah, I mean that cowl around his neck. Like looking at it, like it kind of looks like a noose around his neck. But like I see what you mean. Like it could also just be. We could also just have a noose.
If there was just knots on it, fine. And if it was tight around his neck, yeah, tight with the noose knots, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he's wanting to say words.
So
he keeps saying words and we keep continuing.
Sorry.
Well, to me, the art kind of looks like Moon Knight.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, this came out way before Moon Knight came out. So
yeah, totally.
Like this.
Yeah. Now I'm curious. Hang on. Open another image. I'm just curious because, like, I was wondering if the image has like a name to it. Like, it's called. So apparently, the image itself is Volgun 701.jpg. So I wonder what Volgun is. Is that like? I'm just curious if like that's like what is the Volgun? Oh, what? Wait, what? Okay, I just Googled Volgun and Google popped up, what is the Volgun? And this is what I got. The Volgun is an actor known for Lego SCP Foundation Containment Lockdown 2020.
I'm sorry? Lego?
There's a Lego SCP Foundation movie?
Can't be.
Hang on.
Can't be.
Lego SCP Foundation.
Well,
it's got to be an indie thing,
yeah,
obviously.
it's just people
but like,
making it, like making machinima
Yeah.
basically of it.
Okay.
Stop motion.
I'm curious what exactly the Volgan. I guess it's just like the term that for that creature or that entity, because that's what it seems to be on when you quickly Google it.
Maybe.
So
Also, I looked at the
yeah.
other image that's on the other. Sorry, I looked at SCP on the other.
SCP.
Me, I have to slow down. I'm talking to myself. I
Oh,
looked
sorry.
at 701 on the other SCP Foundation website, and it's a different bit of art. I think it's honestly better. It looks more realistic. Like
Yeah.
it's actually a dude.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking
Just
about.
like
Because I think that's the one. Yeah, that's the one I've seen more. Like that was the image I've actually seen before. Like yeah, that one. Yeah,
Like the first one's awesome
because it looks like
but there's something about it that doesn't look real. The one I just linked, it does look like it's just a dude wrapped up. Because the first one, my question with the first one is it black and white? It's on a freaking VHS. Like there should be color. But the second one, you can see that there's color in the background, but he's just wearing gray.
Yeah, the one that I think one is like obviously like maybe or it's like a photo or the image that we see on there might have been color once, but it's been like gone through like one of those like really shitty like black and white fax machine things to get, that's only like a laser printer basically, so it like only does like black and white and tones.
Shitty for them to keep up their facts straight, you know, like if they have.
I mean, unless. By this image is safe because it was gone through a shitty like laser printers thing.
Maybe, but the image isn't the problem. The problem is doing the play.
The play. Yeah. Well, the SCP might not want to take that chance of like because like they know that like objects and stuff can be mimetic by just seeing something. So. But yeah, I'm making up defenses for the SCP Foundation and for the one image.
Wow,
so I do actually agree. I like the other one because I think this is the one I've seen more. And the face, like the hooded, like kind of the cowl or like the beaked cowl kind of thing that it has on its face looks almost more like a hostage bag.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Because basically he was killed. So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure when back in the day when they would do hangings. They didn't always just have their head open, like they would have a bag on it or something, right?
Yeah, because it would be distasteful because you'd see their eyes bulging and their tongue like just like wagging out as they were like suffocating to death and asphyxiating.
Yeah, so that makes
it's rather
sense
unpleasant.
why he just has a bag on his head. Still no news.
Also,
I guess that's fine.
Yeah. Also, not gonna lie, that the way the graininess and like the coloration and stuff, it does kind of remind me of the 8mm tape and like the early like VHS tape footage from like what's the movie Sinister, the movie Sinister, where like it's showing like at the beginning of the movie it shows like these families dying like and the person who's like the person who's killing the families is recording it on like Super 8 or like 8mm tape, and it kind of has that grainy like kind of home movie feel to this image. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's kind of bringing me like not reminding me of Sinister necessarily, but reminding me of like the medium, like the appropriate medium that is apparently brought up, since there is an SVHS tape that this is from.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking up SCP-701 fan art now. There's actually a lot of it. It's all pretty good too.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Honestly, I was wondering if. So when we saw that game trailer for SCP Secret Files, I thought that the witch doctor at the end, where it like shows like him just like just like hulking out or something, like I thought that was supposed to be like this, like the game's version of the Hanged King, but I think it's actually just another SCP entity that's in the SCP universe, which is the Doctor.
Yeah, I guess.
Who is portrayed as a plague doctor, because that other trailer you showed has that doctor as he's about to jump out of a window, and he says, I will find the cure, I am the cure. And that is, I think, something that the doctor from SCP Foundation says or is about. So yeah, I think again, the game itself is like throwing a couple of SCPs at you in the game, and the Hanged King. I keep wanting to say the Hanged Man. The Hanged King's tragedy is just like going to be one of like the main prominent ones for episode 1 of that game. But I've been talking a lot, and I think I'm actually done. If I'm being perfectly honest, I actually think I'm done with my notes. So, Mikey, the E stands for evil. I will slink off the stage and vanish into nothing off stage. So, what do you got?
All right. So let's see here. The first quote here is, during the dress rehearsal period, cast members will begin to spontaneously deviate from the published text of the play. And to that I say yes, that is actually something that occurs, but it doesn't usually make it into the play itself.
Yeah.
For instance, in Pirates of Penzance, there is a song about a paradox. And the people that tend to end up singing that bit in that play replace paradox with pair of ducks.
Okay.
So a pair of ducks, a most ingenious pair of ducks.
It's the smartest ducks.
Nice.
Yep. So that's something that happens, but then they have to, basically, when it comes to actually performing, to remember it's not pair of ducks, but pair of ducks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's where the what is it like? Because they do like what's the word when they're doing like drafts, or they're doing like test play or like test performances?
Rehearsal.
Wow, I could not remember what rehearsal was. Yeah,
I forget stupider words than that.
Okay. But yeah, that's just something like, because you're rehearsing because you don't know the play properly yet, so you're like kind of you're practicing, right? So
if you practice wrong too much, then you'll actually perform it wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the stage play is that the deviations are also going into the main thing. It's a bug and a feature.
Yeah.
In this play specifically.
And then the next note I have is about the SCP-701-1. So he shows up, but he doesn't do anything. Like, all the people are already in the play are crazy.
Yeah.
And the audience gets crazy at the end.
Yeah.
But he himself just stands there.
That's because he's the one. He's probably the source of the memetic virus. Like, him just being there is probably what's causing the virus to spread out into the audience and the actors.
Puppet master pulling the strings.
Yeah.
Well, he's basically Silent Bob.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also, you will note that he is also the one that gives the knife that is not a part of the props of this play normally to one of the characters. So he's basically just inciting like evil. Yeah. He's Silent Bob and an enabler of madness and psychosis.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like if you're an omnipresent like cosmic entity that is disguised as a tattered king or a hanged king, you don't got to do shit. You just got to you just have to exist in the presence of other people. That's the problem.
Yep.
You're puppeting without using any strings because you are the strings. No, John, you are the demons. But yeah,
Pretty much.
It also sort of comes off as like a stagehand that doesn't know what he's doing.
yeah. I kind of got like when it was like in the early versions of the stage of the acts, like when he's like popping up in the back behind the scenes. I kind of saw him as like I don't know if it's an actual thing that pops up in plays, but like that jester that like kind of pops up in the background and like some of the audience that gets a chuckle at it because like he's like obviously not supposed to be there, but he's like playing off. I was like, oh shit, I'm not here. Oh. Like I kind of saw him as like the jester, the fool kind of character.
I've
archetype.
expected Gonzalo to be like, he's walking on my fucking set. Oh, good for you.
And then suddenly the hanged king's just like, hey, I'm walking here. God, it's just Christopher Walken underneath that mask. Hey, Walken played a really good, has played some really good villainous, supernatural entities. He played Gabriel, the angel, and he also in one movie about like I think end times, and then he played Death himself in that movie, that Adam Sandler movie, Click.
Oh yeah.
And that by the end of that movie, like he starts off fun and games and like throughout the movie, but then by the end it gets all serious and dark when he like reveals who he is. Sorry, Mikey, continue.
That's the end of MacLeod thoughts.
Okay. Then Gamer.
And I will stop looking up fan art and I will do my notes.
Yeah, you're really posting a lot of that. Like it's gone to Destiny.
Yeah, apparently people have tried recreating him in Destiny.
Wow.
To like various degrees of success. Like that one helmet looks like it's a noose. Like on the faceplate.
That's true, yeah.
Anyways, I will do my notes now. So first thing I noticed when I was reading this is the amount of redactions. You'll love to see it.
Yep.
So I'm glad that there's redactions because it's not an SCP if shit isn't redacted.
Yep.
You can complain that it's not uniform.
No, because I've come to terms with that. I've accepted it.
I've just accepted it.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
it would be nice if it's all the same, but if this document has been redacted multiple different ways, multiple different times by multiple different people, they're not all going to necessarily do the same way. I prefer the black bars because they look awesome, but I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, on the side of redactions and stuff, I like how we get like all these redactions in like the formal like entry and stuff of that, but then we get a really detailed detailed. Oh, are you going to bring something up?
You're not going to bring something up. You just made me realize something.
What?
This document, the entry on SCP-701 is a containment breach.
Oh shit!
You can't do it word for word, but you could do the play, The Hanged King's Tragedy, from this because of how detailed it is.
Yeah. Yeah, but out of story, like out of the fiction, I like that we get the redactions and stuff like that in the formal writing. But then when we get the document that's a transcript of what happens in the play,
it's not transcript.
I like that we actually get all the.
It's not transcript; it's summarized.
Yeah, summarized. So it's like basically like it's safely telling like the information that we need for what happens during the play. Though it is kind of strange, now you bring it up that like that none of that is redacted. It's almost as if the Hanged King's Tragedy has breached containment in the document.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it is summarized. It's not word for word. So
yes,
So it's not technically a breach. It's really damn close to a breach, though.
It's so close, yeah. And like again, that's kind of the nature of the horror of SCP. Like when you realize, like, oh shit, is there a breach? Like, why is this information not redacted?
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
close. That was very close.
That was very close.
But I'll move on.
Yeah.
These items currently consist of 2, in brackets 2, currently extant copies of the 1964 Quattro, and it goes on doing the list and all that. We talked recently about a story flipping from using numerical character to mention a number, and then flipping to an alphabetical character to do the same thing in the story. For this instance, I like that's doubling down on both, because it kind of feels more official, like there's no way to be confused about what number they're trying to tell you.
Absolutely agree.
It's all uniform.
Like this is the
Go ahead.
No, I was just like, this absolutely, like, it just makes it way more formal, like you're saying. Like it makes it more like it's an actual like government or an organization's like bureaucratic like document.
Yes. However,
I'm going to shit on all of it.
Oh no, I'm going to shit on something else maybe.
Okay.
The next quote is Doctors L redacted, R redacted, and J redacted. Can't get away from single letter names, can we? At least here it makes sense, and they don't refer to them constantly to the point that you have to remember which one's which. They're just kind of the doctors.
I think Dr. L brings up is at the very in the additional. He's the one that brings up something to 05, but that's
but it's not an entire story with dialogue that you have to keep track of A, B, and C characters talking about D. You know?
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Now I know what you're referencing. Yes.
Because the past 2 or 3 stories have done that.
Yeah. I think that's something. I think that's a Japanese creepypasta thing more than like on the Western side. But I mean, we see it more in the Japanese stuff.
And this it does make sense because, as you say, they do slightly refer to each one, so they have to have some sort of a distinction between the redactions, or do they?
Yeah.
Would they just be fully redacted?
I mean. Then I guess like
the length of the names is different.
I feel like we do need some identifier, but not like a lot. Like not like because like otherwise like Doctor redacted, and then go down to the bottom to the additionals like blah, 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 like think the object should be switched to a Keter class rather than a Euclid class, and then it's like Dr. L or Dr. Redacted. It's like which doctor was that? Was it redacted, or redacted?
It doesn't matter. Because that's the only one that says
I know. You're right. Yeah, it really doesn't matter because it is the only one. But like, I think it's fine as it is.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I was just bringing it up because I previously hated it, and this one is less hate, but still a little bit of hate.
Yeah.
I'll move on.
Let the hate flow through you, as Palpatine would say.
Then historical estimates place the number of lives claimed by the play at between redacted and redacted over the past 300 years. Oh God, I do not like the size of those redactions, the width of them.
Oh,
because,
wait, where is that? Hang on.
I'll say it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters wide. So the deaths,
5 digits.
The amount of deaths over the past 300 years is between 10,000 people and 99,000 people.
Fuck.
Even on the low end, that's a lot of people. It is over 300 years, but still, I can see
300 years.
Why Dr. Redacted at the bottom is like, bro, upgrade this bad boy.
Yeah, upgrade this. This is definitely an existential threat if it gets out. I'm just actually going to quickly do a calculation of how many objects we have here. So we have.
I have I shortened it down just for my own reference. There's 39 copies of the book in one form or another, 21 floppy disks, 1 VHS, and 1 knife.
Okay. So between 10,000 and 99,999 people have been killed by no less than 37 copies of this book, 21 floppy diskettes of information, and 1 VHS recording of a stage play.
It's just the 39 copies of the book, because the floppy disks are just data on shit that happened because of the books.
That's true. Yeah,
honestly,
it's just
those are the ones that they recovered. Whether or not that's all of them And if that means that there's
Yeah.
been a total of 39 instances of this, and they have all of them, which is possible because it says performances of the Hanged King's Tragedy do not always end with an outbreak. Of the redacted performances, which is 2 characters, only redacted amount have ended in SCP events. So
okay. So
there isn't even 100 events of recorded performances, and they have 39 of them.
yeah. Yeah.
And the percentages
Wow.
of
Still,
the bad things happening is
terrifying.
36, so they have pretty much all of them.
Yeah. That is still like a terrifying number, though. That between 10,000 and 9,999.
Yeah, on the lower end of that spectrum, let's do some math. So that's what you guys are here for, math. Divided by 39. That means each book roughly kills about 256 people.
That's about the same. That's about the average capacity for a theater, a movie theater,
That's at the
or not a movie theater, a stage
bare
theater.
minimum death count of 10,000 even.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's about the average like seating count probably for a small stage theater.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
So he's killed a lot of people. Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Bad shit.
Yeah. Maybe make that maybe not classified as an XK event, but like a Keter class.
Could be for sure.
Maybe 05. Just consider that.
Make his dreams come true. Anyways, so now moving on to the document, and it's saying there's constant mention. Like the document is the one that is the summarization of the actual written
and the
text.
cast crew.
And it says that there's constant mention of this location probably being a misspelling of that, or this capital not making sense. But the simpler answer to all of this is just all the locations in the play are just fictional. It's like it even says much of the play setting is obviously pure fantasy, yet it goes on and on about all the inconsistencies of these locations regardless. If they could just say, like, okay, it's a fantasy setting, done. Like, yeah, maybe these towns are, the names of these towns and areas and countries are like other names for real countries, but that doesn't mean that they're trying to emulate that country. They could just be using that as a name for their country in their fantasy world.
Yeah. That said, Alagata is definitely Carcosa.
Yes. Most def.
I was waiting for you to actually. Honestly, I was waiting for you to like. Actually, no.
I mean, it probably is.
So, yeah, I'm guessing. Honestly, like Alagata, it's the only one that's not like a clear like either like reference or derivation of an actual place. So it's probably Carcosa.
Does he actually bring that up when he's?
They do bring up that Alagata.
Yeah, there's no record of any country or place by the name of Alagata. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only thing they bring up is that it might be a reference to a Muslim state or city in the Mediterranean coast.
Carcosa.
So yeah, but I'm my guess is Carcosa.
Definitely Carcosa. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely Carcosa. Also, when it says like probably a misspelling of Trinacria or Trinis, Trinacria. I'm probably butchering that name. Also, like, I mean, Italian names like they have derivations of the same word or name. So like, it probably is just a derivation of Trinacria. Or again, like you said, it's just a fantasy name of that place, if anything. Yeah. Or just a fantasy place, not even like, doesn't even have to necessarily be connected to a real place.
They're just, maybe they took inspiration by being like, okay, it's like this place, but we'll just take the name and change it a bit. It's that place with the name filed off.
It is,
Yeah.
It is cool that the capital city of Circo, another name for the city of Syracuse. That's actually really cool. That they actually use like another name for an existing city. That was kind of cool because I learned a thing. I learned that Syracuse has another name.
Just like all these have another name. Just like Algata has another name.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Next note, I just said that I really like how the entire play is summarized, and even the entire event is summarized too, to show the discrepancies between the two. I like the way that at first I was annoyed because I'm like, okay, I'll follow this URL, I'll start reading, and then it's like, okay, I have to go to another URL to continue through another link. But I liked the flow of that. Did you read the entire incident report before you went to the document, or did you swap over the document as soon as it came up?
I was going to read it like as they came up, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to read all of them. I'm going to read this part first, then I'll get to that one because I don't have that problem, or I don't have that. My mind doesn't work the way yours does, where it's like it has to read it in like a certain order. Like I can go back and I'd be fine with it.
Oh, I did go back.
And like, yeah,
I read so I started with the normal SCP entry, and then I did the intro to the incident report, and then it said see document. I went to the document. I read the entire document, then I went back to the incident report because that's what it tells you to do. It says, please see archives for full transcript of the recording in order to compare the identified deviations. So I'm like, okay, I have to see this first.
Okay. See, I definitely did not do
how dare
that.
you.
I didn't do it in like order like that. I read through the entire SCP article and then I went back to the links and read those. Because my brain, like at least like that's how my brain doesn't have an issue with like having to like read something in order. I can like go back and like, oh, that's where that goes. Okay, cool.
I see.
Like I can put the puzzle pieces together.
Are you saying I'm incapable?
At least. No, I'm not saying you're incapable. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just bringing up the fact that like we both have two very different like thought patterns when it comes to like this kind of thing.
What order did you read it in, Mikey?
So yeah.
Well, I read it on mobile, so I did one at a time.
So you read the entire standard SCP, then you read the entire incident report, then the entire document? Man,
yep.
That sucks for you guys. Because, like, I say that because, like, you ended this entire thing just reading how the normal play ends. Instead of reading at the end, like, that this thing should be upgraded because it's shit sucks, dude, you know? Yeah.
Well, again, like I got there, like when I finished reading all of it, it's like I got to okay, that's why he wants it to be brought back. It's like, yeah, that's pretty bad.
It feels like it wouldn't have as much like sting, you know, as much punch.
I will say the way you read it was probably the correct way, like for most people, like to actually read it. But yeah, again, we're all wired differently, so
he is okay. So. Next up, onto the incident report. Second sighting of SCP-701-1 during Act 3, Scene 1. It appears on the edge of the stage right as Gonzalo and Petruccio. Is it Petruccio? Is that how you say it?
I'm pretty sure it's Petruccio.
Okay, Petruccio murder Sortino, the entire city-state of Sortino. The scene,
the entire city of.
The scene concludes with Gonzalo ordering his cooks to prepare the corpse as a stew. Scripts recovered from the scene indicate that the section had been cut in the rehearsal. So, aside from 701 showing up, that is what happens in the scene normally.
Yeah.
Like, I suppose the weirdness is that they didn't rehearse to do it. Like, indicating that each time they rehearse it, it's different. But even this, like, because it's back to normal, there may have been other instances where the scene was entirely different, but they keep rehearsing this over and over, and eventually it did cycle back to normal. Like, they kept rolling the dice, and it did go back to 1 at one point, you know? If you know what I mean?
Also, that's not, like, this scene, like, it would have been redacted, like, because, like, it can be removed for, like, the gruesomeness. And honestly, that happens in plays. Like, a lot of Shakespeare, there's some pretty dark stuff in Shakespearean plays.
Oh, I wasn't even going to mention that.
So, yeah. Okay.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that between the incident report and the document, this scene is the same. It's just that SCP's there. Or, sorry, 701's there. Which I guess is what you say kind of earlier, too. That this scene's the same, it just 701 shows up.
Yeah, I'm guessing that like as the acts go on, he's basically like priming everything like to go off on like a bad like on like the psychological like violence and stuff.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like he's just popping in as like, hey guys, roll sand, roll sand, roll sand, roll sand, roll sand. All right, bye, peace. he just walks from one side of the stage to the other, just saying, roll sand, roll sand, roll sand, roll sand, and then like.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But,
and I literally just pantomimed that, like walking from one side of my room to the other, just like with my hands pointed out, like it's like roll sand, like just like throw like I was throwing sprinkles out or something. Roll sand. You get sand. You get sand hit.
You're
And
just
you get a
rolling
sand
for
hit.
them. You just have a bunch of d20s. You roll in front of them. That's their roll.
Yeah. I'm just throwing dice.
Sorry, d10s, right? That's how you do sand?
Yeah, d10s.
Yeah.
It's percentiles.
Percentile, yeah.
He's just Oprah. You get a sand hit, and you get a sand hit. Look under your seat. It's a sand hit.
Pretty much, yeah. But regardless, in regards to this one,
Sorry,
I just found this one was weird because the previous couple of scenes were at least somewhat different, but this one is the same thing. It's just he's there again. So it's like back in scene 1 or act 1 when he was just a shadow in the corner. It's back to that for some reason. Like it kind of stopped the escalation of it getting weirder and weirder. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, gotcha.
Until after where it starts getting weirder again, but it was a weird.
It's the intermission.
I guess. I don't know. It was weird. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
So as soon as they hang him, or at least like when they slash Gonzalo's stomach open, I feel like I should say that the audience panics or something. Because I know they're sort of being... what's the word? They're not being puppeted. They're being entranced by this.
Yeah. Enthralled, yeah.
Yeah, enthralled. There you go. But like, I'm glad that in this instance it's recorded off of VHS and everything. I kind of feel like the VHS aspect of this is kind of lost. Like we're missing a lot of the found footage feel of this, but at least the way it's described. Because like, no one is reacting at all to anything.
Unless that's like part of the horror of it as well. Like if you're watching this and like no one's like reacting, it's like, why the fuck isn't anybody reacting to this? What the fuck's going on? Or like,
yes, I feel like
it's because that's what it does. Like it, I guess. Or it's like, maybe even like if we got some like things that people comment, it's like, oh, look at the look at the effects, or like it's like, oh, that was such a beautiful gutting of that man.
Yeah,
like so because that's the thing about it. Like no one like in the rehearsals, like they don't acknowledge the deviations. So it would make sense that the audience would also not acknowledge the wrongness that's going on stage until the very end. And then, everyone breaks down and starts killing each other.
Yeah. I guess that is the weirdness, but I don't know. It just felt weird. Yeah, I keep saying weird. Weird is the word for the day, but yeah, it just seemed off.
I like how you immediately like realized and acknowledged that you kept saying weird too wrong. And then you went out of your way to make this to use a different word that basically means the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I have to still say my point, but not be weird about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because really, the only aspect of the incident report that felt like a VHS was the very end, where it straight up says that stage lights cut out and sounds of screaming, physical violence around the camera, and the camera gets knocked down.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I kind of forgot that this was a VHS like recording being told to us.
Mm-hmm. Also, honestly, the lights going out and stuff like, and like there being suddenly panic screaming could honestly just be people just like freaking out because suddenly all the lights have gone out. Like
it's possible.
I don't know if you've ever been in a theater and the power goes out. Like there is definitely a moment of there's like a couple of moments of like panic or like confusion as to what's going on.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. But like even the camera work, it feels like camera guy was on point. Like he saw everything all the time, It
was cameraman Dave.
Yeah, it's possible. But I don't know. It felt like he happened to find, or maybe just these are all the from the footage that they have, these are all the sightings that they could see of 701. Maybe he missed some on the recording because he was zooming in and being a dad and all that, recording things.
Yeah.
But it just seemed too perfect.
Yeah, fair. Like there should have been a little bit more like description of how the cameraman is holding the camera, or how he is reacting through like physical actions.
Yeah, it could be anything. Like when 701 hands the knife off, you could say like this point of the recording, it gets kind of blurry as the operator tries to zoom in on what was handed over. But then like after adjusting the focus later on, you see that it's a knife. Like it's just too clean. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, everything was too like well produced.
Yes.
Fair.
And then after reading the whole incident report of the fucked up version of the play, I was kind of expecting it to be more fucked up, honestly. Like, it was pretty fucked up with all of them hanging themselves and the one dude being gutted. Is like intestines all over the floor and everything. But I expected something supernatural to be shown on camera, honestly.
That's not necessarily how the King in Yellow works. Like, yeah, he's supernatural, and it's like a cosmic entity like Cthulhu and stuff like that, but it's like more on like the subtle side. The best King in Yellow stories are the ones where you can't tell if it's like just happenstance or like coincidentalism or like it is actually something supernatural afoot.
So it's that kind of magic that I really like.
Yeah, idiosyncratic.
Idiosyncratic. I'm an idiot. And that's my type of magic. So yeah, it makes sense.
No, well, I mean, yes and no, but like not yes to the idiosyncratic, no to you're an idiot.
I'm confused. I will continue though.
But and for example, like in True Detective Season 1, which handles like the King in Yellow stuff, you're never quite sure if the stuff they're seeing is just coincidental or happenstance kind of stuff, or if it's like drug related and stuff like that. Because a couple of the characters are on drugs for parts of the story, but like there's one part where like the character walks away from like a murder scene of like one of the murderer's like victims like bodies, and he looks up into the sky and like a whole flock of birds just forms the King in Yellow sign of the series. And then like yeah, like, and then like later, like farther into the story, like there's a character who's like either just like a super like drugged out character who just starts spouting lines from the King in Yellow play, like the black stars over Hyades, or like the city of Carcosa like is on Lake Holly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that kind of stuff where it's like it likes to keep you on your toes of like, is this real? Is this supernatural? Like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm. But the fact that we have a VCR recording of it, I was expecting to see more. That's what I was getting at. Like, what did happen could just be completely explained mundanely, which is the nice part of idiosyncratic horror and all that. But basically, in the mundane explanation, the Hanged King is literally just a murderer, and all the actors are part of a cult of his, and this is just like a sacrifice display art thing for his cult, basically.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
and I know that the event caused like the audience to go nuts and start killing each other too, and that's not exactly mundane unless it is just from seeing a murder happen in front of you. But
well, you know what it could be? It could be like the Scarecrow from Batman, where like there's a gas like leaking into the theater that makes them psychotic.
Oh yeah.
It could be like super like mundanefied. It was actually just like this serial killer cult that pumps in like a certain thing in the air that makes that makes you more receptive to like violence and psychosis.
That's fair. Yeah.
But
yeah, like the lights went out and we have no real idea of what happened on recording. It's just like a missed opportunity to show something weird, you know?
Yeah.
Something extra weird. Like he just kind of walks on and off stage and that's about it. And then all the bad things happen.
It is also creepy when like there's just like the subtle like thing of like there's this guy in the background, he's not supposed to be there. Why the heck? And no one's acknowledging him. Why is he there? Like that's kind of creepy. But yeah, you could do more, I guess.
I suppose the creepiness is the fact that we know that he is not a human. He is some weird supernatural entity, but he is quite a good actor because he's pretending to be just a normal person, a normal actor. Meanwhile, he is a potential world-ending threat.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Then next up, back into the the main SCP entry, it says the 19 redacted television adaptation of the Redacted Broadcasting Corporation, and all that. It says that they basically were going to put this on TV. Like, if that went on TV, I'm assuming that would actually have been a world-ending event, right?
Yeah, no, that's why this is not may not be fully an XY or it was XK threat like the one doctor is saying, but it's definitely like a Keter class, not a what is it again? It's not a Euclid, right? Or is it a Euclid?
No, Euclid is the one that you don't really know. there's not enough explained about it. Like, this is a Euclid class.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, no, this one, like, they classify this one as Euclid, but like, it definitely should be Keter.
Yeah.
At the very least, because that's like a much more threatening situation.
I think so. Yes. The world-ending one is. Actually,
I don't think the XK class scenario. I don't know. Well, XK is probably, it might be like a classification, but I think like yeah, it might be the one after Keter.
Dalmiel.
I don't know. I gotta look up the classifications. I guess
I'm looking it up now.
Cool.
There's a polyon, which ones that can't be contained at all. Archon. There's a lot of different classifications. Anyways, irrelevant. Yeah. I like that there's a note at the end. Like, we kind of talked about this, but I do like that there's the note on the end that this guy needs to be upgraded because he's bad. He's worse than what they've classified him at. And I don't remember reading an SCP where one of the people that's in charge of this actually, like, there's a note in the report suggesting that he should be upgraded, because everything else is just kind of like, this is what it is, that's it, but there's no progression really. There's actually a little bit of a progression with this one, which I appreciate. Then after reading all this, I'm trying to think about how this is going to be connected to the game that's coming out. Like, I understand the trailer much more now that I've read S701 and know what it's all about. But, like, in the trailer for the game, she's going in to get a black box and get out, but that's about it. What does that have to do with 701?
So from what I gather, the site that they're going to in the game is a site that has more than one entity in it, because that's, like, from what I've gathered of, like, from like background stuff about the game, they're planning on doing episodically, so it's going to be tackling, each episode is going to tackle a different SCP, but they're still, like, they're going to a site that probably houses more than one SCP. So the black box may not actually have anything to do with 701, but 701 has breached that facility that they're trying to get into. I think honestly, I don't know if I brought this up earlier, but like the black box might actually be that one that we're like, everything's fine, we're doing good work here. Like, it might be that box.
That's entirely possible.
But also, it was interesting. Like, in the game level, we see like a bunch of marionettes on stage doing the performances and stuff.
Yeah, and
that might have just been like a limitation of the game. Like, they may not, like, we do see like characters, like actual human characters in the game, but they're always shadowed and stuff in the trailer. So I wonder if it's like they decided to go with the marionette theme because, like, marionettes are like being pulled by the strings of and like that sometimes comes up in like horror that involves like plays and stuff. It actually happens. It actually does happen in one of the King and Yellow, like one of the more popular King and Yellow scenarios for Call of Cthulhu and Delta Green, Night Floors, where there is a scene when you get deeper into Carcosa through the Night Floors, you come up to a stage where there's just a bunch of people, like marionettes, either on the stage or on the or in the audience. They're just looking on at the agents.
Yeah.
So
the other option is, like, instead of them using humans, it's because there's a containment here, and breaching in this area where this is happening. But if there's not many people there or no people at all, and it wants to put the play on, it uses what it can.
God, could you imagine if a King in Yellow or like the Hanged King's Tragedy like event, like reality bubble popped up in like a Sears or an old like Zeller or like an old department store where like there's just mannequins.
Yeah.
But I hate mannequins on the best of times. Like, I find mannequins extremely unsettling. Like, it goes right up there with like porcelain dolls. And I'm just like, if I see those things like moving or like in weird places, I'm like, that's fucked up. Nope.
It's like a fucked up version of Today's Special.
Remember that show? I'm actually not familiar. Oh yes, Tonight's Special. But legitimately, Tonight's Special, like, tweak that a little bit. That's a Carcosa game. Yeah, that's a horror game. Like, because it's like a modern day retelling of like Pinocchio almost.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I don't think anybody out of Canada is going to get that, because that's specifically the Eaton Center in Toronto that's set. It was a Toronto-based broadcast.
Yeah. Not for 7 years, though.
I know, but like, Yeah. Anybody who's out there who doesn't know what we're talking about, Google tonight's special like intro, and you'll get like this really weird like 80s, 90s, actually I think it was 70s
81.
and 80s. Yeah, early 80s TV show about a mannequin that comes to life after hours at the Eaton Center.
Yeah, and it's today's special.
Today's special. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God, yeah, I do remember watching reruns of that. I guess from TVO and YTV sometimes.
Yeah, me too. And with that, that's the end of my notes.
All right, so then I suppose we'll move on to final thoughts. So with everything we said, I'm still going to recommend this one. It's a pretty quick one and is surprisingly, but despite being like pretty quick to read through and such, it's still pretty in depth and detailed about the play itself. But it's like not like contamination. It's not like contamination levels, like where it's like, oh well, like, why would this be here? It's like because it's a safe transcript basically they've given us. But there's a lot of information here while still redacting certain things that are important. If especially if you're a King in Yellow fan, this will feel kind of familiar, but also like different. So, and I mean, I kind of want to use this play for a game scenario, like either in Delta Green or the SO Terrorist. So, yeah, no, I'm still going to recommend this one. Mikey, the E stands for evil.
All right. So, well, I liked the theatrical aspect of it and the people sort of changing the lyrics of different songs or changing the words and it sticking, which is the interesting part. So I like that portion, but I really did not like the character that just shows up and is there and it gives the person a knife. Like it's basically, like I said earlier, Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
So with that said, I'm still at a partial recommendation.
All right. And Gamer.
Oh, for me, I really liked it, honestly. I'm still sort of on the fence, like, in regards to the VHS, because originally I'm like, I kind of wish I saw something weird, and we didn't really see anything weird, but your description and explanation of it, of how this works and how it should work and how it's actually displayed pretty correctly, I am on board with, and I'm down with that. Still, there should be something, like, I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, but like when all the nooses come down and all that, they all just like very slowly hang themselves and then they just die, and then the curtains shut and then everyone starts screaming and all that. But if there was something where it's like the nooses come down and then the curtains shut, then immediately open, and then they're all hanging like in an impossible,
and they're all just instantly dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like something, would be kind of cool. Whether or not that actually makes sense for what this creature is, because he is quite a good actor and he's trying to keep this looking mundane. So I don't know if he would openly do something supernatural like that.
I think in that case, like at that point in the play, like that's like he's primed the audience, he's primed the actors on stage. It's time for shit to get real.
Yeah.
Like I think that's honestly like it's all about like it's all about the showmanship, right? Like you're revving it up, you're the anticipation, you're revving it up, and it's like and drop it, like and drop the
green flag, go.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I do kind of agree with you. Like I think the audience should have either like been shown as like either like something off about them, like why are they reacting this way, like oh god, they've been infected from the or not reacting, like either like reacting in a way that like is counter to what you would expect, like oh like they're chuckling when like somebody gets murdered or disemboweled. It's like oh what, like that's like oh so funny and some of that, and then they lose their shit at the end, or like you look, the camera like kind of like slightly moves to the side, and you start noticing that a lot of people are just like drooling and like they're just like enthralled.
Yeah.
Like eyes are not blinking whatsoever as they stare on into the onto the stage.
Mm.
Like, yeah, I think that would have been like a much creepier thing for like the VHS part of it.
Yeah, for sure. But aside from all that, I liked how everything was described. I like that. I like the art. The art is fantastic. Both of the one that we got and the ones that I took a long time looking up repeatedly.
Yeah, there's a lot of fan art for this.
I like that the play is summarized as well as the incident report. And I like that it didn't seem like I was reading the same story twice, you know, even though it is the same thing twice. But I had a reason to read it again because I read it in the correct order, unlike you. So,
wow.
And it worked out, and I like that. I like the extra layers of creepy that were put on it because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But so overall, I still really like it. And to be honest, I like it even more after our discussion because you pulled me back a little bit from needing the supernatural on the VHS.
Tweet. Not that I was trying to, it's just like, yeah.
Yep. Oh, you're right. I agree with you.
Cool. Well, I guess that'll be this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below. This gets posted, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, Podbean, Tumblr. We're all on Twitter. You can send us messages there. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without the W because his name is very long.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at Review Cultist. If you'd like to send us emails, you can go to aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah! And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. Look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, and extra content. To our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you guys immensely because you're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories and SCP's entries, thank you immensely because without your listenership, it would be like screaming into the void. And without your weird stories and entries on internet archives and stuff like that, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.
So I was looking through the object classes, and there's something called a locked box test. Do you know of it?
I do not.
Well, I'll quickly read it over.
Okay.
If you lock it in a box, leave it alone, and nothing bad will happen, then it's probably safe. If you lock it in a box, leave it alone, and you're not entirely sure what will happen, then it's probably Euclid. If you lock it in a box, leave it alone, and it easily escapes, then it's probably Keter. If it is the box,
Okay.
it's probably Thaumiel, however you say
I think it's Thaumiel.
Yeah. If you can't fit it in the box and it's about to end the world, then that's probably Apollyon, probably, because there's two of us. If you could have locked it in the box but choose not to, then it's probably Archon. And that's basically like an informal guideline to picking your object class when you're making an SCP.
Okay, cool.
The more you know.
Reading Rainbow. Honestly, the more you know, that's not the that's like the antithesis to SCP. The more you know.
The less you know.
The more you
redacted.
Yeah. Or it's like the more you
No!
like his face from The Office.
No! God, no! Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's it right there.
Nailed it.
Oh, man.